In this tutorial, I'll show you how to paint old clay roof tiles in Procreate, like this, using just one default brush and the Lasso tool. Sun-warmed terracotta, patches of moss, a smoking chimney, the whole process from scratch. This is part of my little architecture series. We've already painted a stone wall, an old door, and a weathered window, and the roof might be the most characterful piece yet. By the end, you'll be able to paint your own. Let's jump in. This guide is beginner-friendly. If you're just starting out with digital painting, you'll find it approachable. If you are more experienced, you'll pick up some tricks for adding texture and life to architectural elements. All you need to begin is an iPad, an Apple Pencil, and Procreate. Start with a new canvas. Pick a relatively large size so you can zoom in and work on details later. I'm using 3500 by 5000 pixels, my usual go-to size for daily sketches. Though to be fair, a square format might work even better for this one. The brush is the default Tamar brush, which you will find under the painting section of the standard Procreate library. Keep the opacity at 100% and you're good to go. The whole secret here: one simple brush does all the heavy lifting. The trick that makes the tiles look genuinely old and whether it comes a little bit later. So stick around for that part. Don't forget about two useful windows. First, the palette. Simply drag the color wheel menu to a convenient spot on your screen. Second, the reference window. Use your own drawing as a reference. To find it, go to the Range menu, Canvas, Reference. In the first stage, we'll build a simple sketch. I'll use it as a base for our future construction. Don't worry about the neatness of the line art here. What you need is a believable perspective. The roof I'm drawing is very simple, and by the end of this tutorial you'll be able to add modification to your own taste, tilting a tile here and there, or adding extra colors, black broken tiles for example. I didn't use them here because I don't want to overcomplicate the guide. I want to demonstrate the principle rather than build a finished illustration. I'm adding a chimney as a nice attention-grabbing detail. Then I draw some curvy lines that will define our tiles. A little imperfection and a freehand approach add life and variety to the surface, so don't be afraid of wobbly lines at this stage. Just keep an eye on the perspective. That part should be correct. Now the base is ready, we can move on to the fun part, the painting. Create a new layer. Select the area under the sketch with the Lasso tool and fill it with an orange terracotta color. This will be our base layer, and all the color blocking will happen here. Alternatively, you can simply cover the same area with a large brush. Define your light source. In my case, the sun is somewhere behind my right shoulder, so the tiles will be nicely lit. I'll add the colors I'm using above the drawing for your reference. The palette is super warm and cozy, so we'll bring in bluish and greenish tones at the next stages. The roof is the most weathered part of any house. It takes all kinds of weather damage. Vegetation grows where no one controls it, and birds and wild animals leave their marks. That's exactly what makes it fun to paint. Next step is building the volume. I start adding cast shadows to the construction. Then I pick a blue and overpaint some areas. This glazing effect gives me more interesting color variation and adds depth. If you followed my stone wall or window tutorials, you'll recognize this move. It works on any weathered surface. Then I move on to the tile shadow area. I use green for a few spots that will read as moss. The green I've chosen is also from the warm end of the spectrum. I've picked a creamy white to draw some spots on the tiles. I'll detail those later. I also use the same orange as the tiles to paint the bricks on the chimney. Right now the goal is a general picture, understanding how this roof will look rather than a perfect render. This is our ugly phase, and it's a crucial one. It defines the whole look of the illustration. When I'm happy with the palette and the image feels three-dimensional, I merge the line art and color layers and continue by overpainting the unnecessary lines. I add more cold tones to the chimney to build volume. Next, I soften the tiles' side edges. Pure black doesn't work well here, so I glaze them lightly with brown. The brush I suggested has pressure sensitivity, so you don't have to change opacity manually. A soft path with the pencil gives you that low opacity brush work on its own. I add bright highlights on the tiles. I'll soften them later, plus more color variation. Not every tile has to be clay colored. I've mixed a warm wet gray. Then I add smoke from the chimney. A combination of the Tamar brush and the firm eraser does this kind of job quite well. Don't forget the cast shadows on the walls. We'll use cold colors here. Notice how the shadow's edge nicely repeats the shape of the tiles. I also add a few areas of cracked paint on the walls. Now we are moving into the polishing phase. I add cracks and shape imperfections to the tiles and paint the moss. When adding vegetation, try working on a separate layer and match the result later. I use this approach whenever I'm not sure about the change I'm going to make. You can also turn on alpha lock once the first shape is drawn and add some interesting color variation, or at least push a few areas into shadow. And there it is. A cute roof with a lot of personality that will sit nicely in any illustration. I hope this walkthrough was helpful. A few final thoughts. Tilt your tiles a little and vary the clay colors. If you look at references, you'll notice real tiles come in anything from black to terracotta to creamy white. And keep in mind, old roofs tend to be grayer than fresh ones. The older the house you are drawing, the grayer and greener it should look, while a newly built will look like a fairy tale, bright and shiny. If you enjoyed this, the same techniques, glazing, color blocking, freehand texture, are in my stone wall, old door and window tutorials. Together they make a whole weathered little house. They are all on my channel. Stay tuned for more tutorials and time-lapse drawings. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, hit that subscribe button and see you on my next one. Cheers!